Hello and welcome. My name is Kenny and I am the host of the Transition Talks, talking our way to our first job podcast, where we interview adults with disabilities who are working in jobs that we want to learn about. Through these conversations, we aim to inspire and empower young adults with disabilities to pursue their own career goals and aspirations. We will be talking to a diverse range of professionals, from teachers to entrepreneurs to artists to scientists, to learn about their experiences and the challenges they have overcome to succeed in their fields. So sit back, relax, and join us on our journey to discover the possibilities for people with disabilities in the workforce.
Okay. Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Transition Talks. Talking our way to our first job. My name is Anthony, and today I will be interviewing Steve in Phoenix, Arizona. Steve has worked in the information technology field for 34 years. Hi, Steve. How are you doing today?
Hello, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me on the show here. I think what you guys are doing is really cool, and so I'm just honored to be here with you. I'm doing fantastic, and I'm really excited to share it with you today.
Okay, let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I was raised up in the Midwest, up in Wisconsin, and that's where when I was 18 years old, my senior year of high school, I was in an auto accident where I had a spinal cord injury. And it was actually a drinking and driving related accident. And yes, I was drinking. So this is lesson number one. As we all know, don't drink and drive. That's just an awful idea. Um, but that's what happened to me there. And I, after going through my rehabilitation process, I moved to Dallas, Texas, in part because I learned that from the people I was going through rehab with up in Wisconsin that living up there in the winter is not such an easy thing, especially when you're on four wheels now and you're dealing with trying to get around in bad weather. So I had a sister that already lived in Texas, and so she helped me get connected with the vocational rehabilitation arm of the state of Texas. And when I moved down there, I moved into an accessible living apartment complex where I had some attendant care there that was able to help me with personal care needs and helping me get to where I could function on my own. And then also, I went to school, and that's where I learned data processing. I also was involved in through my studies in accounting. I like both of those subjects a lot, so I decided as I was going through school to pursue the data processing side. And from there, I got my associate's degree, and then I went into the job force working for a company called ADP, or stands for Automatic Data Processing. I think they're known for their payroll processing as their big business, and I connected with them in their dealer services division where I did frontline phone support for uh, our products that served the automotive industry. So I worked with, I took phone calls from car dealers and truck dealers and people in those IT departments that utilized our products to run their dealerships. And when they had questions or they had problems with the product, then they would call into our data center, and I would be a person that they would get in contact with, and you know, relay their problems to me, whatever was going on. I would either help them out over the phone by letting them know what they needed to do, or I would connect into their computer system and work on the problem myself. So that's kind of how my journey into IT got started.
Oh. What was your first paid job?
Well, my first paid job was actually in high school. I worked in a supermarket, bagging groceries and stocking shelves. So that was my very first paid job. Uh, but after I went through my education process in college, like I mentioned a moment ago, I started with ADP, and that was the company I connected with them. That was 34 years ago, and I'm still with them today. They've made a lot of changes over the years, and in fact, the company has been sold, and or it has changed its name and is a different company now, and it it's been quite a ride. I'll say that.
What did you learn there that helped you prepare you for your eventual career?
Hmm. Oh yes, definitely. The My early job experience is really it was perfect for me at the time because it really taught me the value of connecting with other people and help and understanding what they are going through so I can utilize my skills to resolve their problems. So just if you can think about it for a moment, like if you were picture yourself taking frontline phone calls for, doing support for another company or in whatever field you're in. The person that you're working with calls you on the phone and they say, "Hey, I've got this thing that's going on that I can't my program isn't working. I'm getting an error on my screen." And maybe they're not exactly communicating in the way that the problem is really happening. They could be frustrated. They could not understand really what they're seeing, that in a way that and be able to communicate it in a way that is clear. And so part of my job was to learn to connect with this person and first of all meet them where they were so I could show them that I had empathy for what the issue was that they were dealing with and that I was there to help them. And when I connected with them and let them feel heard, then they trusted me. And when they trusted me, then they could like let their guard down a little bit and really say, "Hey, okay, this is what's happening. I'm really not sure how to read this," and then we could actually get down to what the real problem was and work through it and help them to resolve it. So those early years in doing frontline phone support were extremely valuable. It really just taught me the value of connecting with another person and meeting them where they were so I could get to, make getting a resolution for them.
Now I want to ask you some questions about your IT career path. Steve, can you tell us about your journey from sustaining a spinal cord injury to becoming functionally independent in a wheelchair?
Yes, that was actually, it was quite a process. I went through, as I was going through my initial rehab, and I made the decision at that point that I was going to leave the home that I was living in and move to a different place. That really underscored the need that I needed to be as functionally independent as possible. And so I leaned heavily on the rehabilitation staff as I was going through rehab to help teach me how to do, the very basic things of life. I had to learn how to dress myself. I had to learn how to take care of myself, how to bathe myself, how to make food, how to I basically just starting from scratch almost, and I needed to be able to do that as much as possible in a very short amount of time. And so after going through that initial rehab and moving, although I was not fully independent, I was I was close, and that's where the attendants that were part of the apartment complex that I moved into, the attendant care they provided, they helped me fill that gap. And then over the next several years, as I was going to school, and then um, I got married, and we had children, then I actually increased my level of independence. I learned other things that I could do that could make me more independent, where I did not even need someone to help me with the things that I required help with previously. So, I the path to independence for me was not a short one. It actually took years for me to get from being where I was, very very dependent right after my initial injury to where I could handle all my personal care needs myself. And along the way, one of the things that I also learned how to do was I learned how to drive. And that was a huge game changer for me, because that gave me a level of independence where I could I could go somewhere and I didn't depend on someone else to get me there. I could get in my car and I could load my chair in my car, and I could go to the grocery store. I could go on a trip if I wanted to, and that was really important for me, and it helped build my own sense of being able to do things on my own. So those are just a few of the big things that helped me along the way.
How did you intentionally become interested in IT, and what inspired you to pursue a career in this field?
Well, for me, being in IT was actually not even my idea. it was it's really interesting because when I met my vocational rehab counselor in Texas, he he had me do some testing to see what kind of, like, aptitude testing, to where I could, see where my strengths are, where my skills were naturally. And then from there, he kind of suggested, he said, I think you've got what it takes to go into IT and to pursue a career in that area. So, it seemed fairly interesting. I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. I didn't. It was sort of I didn't really have a better idea of my own, so I just took that path, and I ran with it, and it really turned out to be the right move for me at that time.
Can you share with us your experience in the various tiers of IT support?
Yeah, that was very interesting, because, like I was saying earlier, the first part of my career was tier one. So it was frontline support, where I would take calls directly from our clients, and a lot of a lot of personal interaction with them over the phone, and really getting that level of understanding how our products worked, and getting enough of the internal structure, the underneath side, to be able to fix some of the problems that I worked on that I couldn't resolve over the phone. And then for those more technical issues that I was not able to handle, I passed those along to the second tier of support. And eventually, as I worked through this process, and became better and better at doing what I was doing at the tier one level, and I aspired to go to the next level. I wanted to work in the next level of tech support, because I felt like, yeah, that seemed really interesting to me. doing those, being a little bit more technical, doing a little bit more of digging into what's the programming code that is making our software work, and then also writing programs myself to repair data that had been damaged by, say, an outage or a hardware problem, or whatever the case might be. So those were the things that I wanted to do, and so that pushed me to excel in my frontline support and to learn more. And so after, let's see, I think it maybe was 2 or 3 years of frontline support, I was promoted to that next level. I was promoted to the tier 2 level, where I worked and really started honing my more technical skills even further. And then as I went through that process, it was the same thing again. I looked to the third tier level of support, and I could see an even greater level of technical expertise that was required, and the kind of things that I would need to achieve that level. So again, there was something else pushing me. Or it was pulling me. I prefer to say it was pulling me into wanting to do more and to do something that was propelling me forward. So eventually, I did reach that third level of technical support, and I've been there working in various forms with the team that I'm on ever since. So it's been an interesting process, and every step along the way built on the step that I on what I learned before it. So it was a very logical progression for me.
What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned while working in these different roles?
I believe the most important thing, and even it's almost seems ironic that I'm in a tech industry. So, you think of a tech person, you think of computers, you think of writing programs, you think of, not having a lot of human interaction. And yet, really, the most valuable things that I learned that have carried me forward is what I learned at the very beginning, and where I gained those skills is learning to connect with other people and build those communication skills so I could learn to connect with them, build rapport, build trust. And when I did that, I found that the results came much easier. And because it's one thing about working in support in the tech industry is that I can't always I don't have always have the expertise to fix everything that I'm working on. At some point or another, there's always going to be something that I run into that I'm not able to handle from a technical standpoint. And by being able to have the people skills to communicate and connect with another person, I'm able to, I'm able to be honest and open with my customer and let them know what is going on in a way where they understand and they appreciate what I'm doing for them. And then B, I have to communicate with the next level of support that I'm working with, whether it's somebody in one of my peers or somebody in our research and development team. And I have to be able to connect with them and explain what I'm talking about and what my needs are there. So it all boils down really to having those skills to connect with another person and to be able to communicate with them.
All right. As someone who has been in the IT industry for 34 years, how have you seen the field evolve and change during that time?
Well, I will say this without a doubt, the speed at which things change just kept getting faster and faster. And that's been one of the biggest challenges for me really, is the rate of change that occurs. in the industry and how we're always we're always looking to make our products evolve. And when I say our products, I'm talking about the company that I work for. That we're trying to make our products as technically sound and as advanced as possible. And that means they're always changing. And when they're changing, there's always defects or bugs in those programs that cause problems. And that's just the nature of computers. There's things that need to be worked on and fixed along the way. But the change that occurs so fast, that's the biggest challenge for me. When I first started, I think, for the first couple of years, we had we didn't have a lot of change in our products and what we did. It allowed me to get a real good, firm understanding of how our computer systems worked. And then things started really changing at a really fast pace, and that has probably been the biggest challenge.
In what ways have it impacted your career?
Well, it has given me opportunities to keep moving forward as long as I'm willing to be open to change, to as long as I have to am willing to be embrace the new things that come along even though they aren't perfect, that they aren't, a software product or something may come out the door that I may know has is far from perfect, but yet I have to still be able to work with it and support our company, and help our customers the very best I can.
You mentioned that you're soon to be a certified peer mentor for the Christopher and Dana Reef Foundation. Can you tell us more about this role, and what do you hope to achieve as a mentor?
Well, this and actually, I can tell you that since um, I started this process, I have become a certified mentor. So I've actually achieved that level with them. So it's been really something that I've wanted to do for a while. I've learned so much along the way about learning to be, first of all, become functionally independent, and then also to be able to have a life where I'm able to take care of myself financially as well as physically, and not to be dependent on re- government resources to make a living. I go out there and I make a living and I pay taxes and I do all of those things just like anybody else, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So these experiences and the things that I've learned over the years, I've reached a point where I think there are people out there that who are going through the process. They're early on in the process. Maybe they've recently become disabled. They've recently sustained a spinal cord injury, and they're still going through that initial rehab, that part where I was so many years ago. And if I can connect with them and use, let them know about some of the experiences I had, and maybe that can help them, then that really fulfills me as well. So I'm looking to kind of give back a little bit with them and help other people who are going through some difficult times and going through the journey of trying to rebuild, regain their own independence and their own sense of self-reliance. If I can help through my experience help them, then I believe I'm doing something that makes this world a little better place.
How has the shift to remote work impacted your career, and how do you feel it has impacted the IT industry in general?
Well, that's been a big shift, especially with the it was already shifting towards more remote work, and then when COVID hit in 2020, then that really pushed it over in a much at a much faster pace. I was already doing remote work 100% of the time by the time COVID hit, so I was already used to it. And I would say for me, doing remote work is sort of it's a double-edged sword. And I say that because I really do miss the interaction with my colleagues in the office. I miss that connection with other people, going into a different environment and into a different work environment and connecting with people there. I think that was a big part of that I really enjoy about my job. So for me, that's sort of the downside of doing remote work. But on the plus side, being able to work from home, well, my commute is a lot easier. It's about 3 feet from one room to the other to get to the office for me. So it's super fast, super easy. I don't have to get on the road and fight traffic, and I don't have to worry about weather or things like that as much. I'm able to work from home. So I'll be honest with you. Overall, it's been a big that looking at the trade-offs. I would say being able to do remote work has been a huge advantage for me, and especially in light of the fact that uh, I've moved since I first started working for the company I work for. I started working for them living in Dallas, Texas, and I moved here to Arizona a few years ago, and my job hasn't changed one bit, and it didn't affect my job because all I need is internet access and a place to open up my laptop. So I'm able to completely work from home just as well as I am from the office. So for me, I love the fact that I can work remotely.
Finally, as someone with a wealth of experience and accomplishments, what advice would you give to young adults with disabilities who are interested in pursuing a career in IT or any other field they are passionate about?
Well, and I think that's the key word. Whatever it is that you're interested in, whatever it is that you're passionate about, that is what you want to keep. That's what you want to keep in front of you. That's what you want to keep your eye on because that is really what's going to propel you forward. I'll give you an example. So, Anthony, what what is it that what field that you are you wanting to pursue?
Um, uh, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, but whatever it is that you're going into, whether it's say, maybe you want to be a teacher to teach young children.
Oh yeah, I want to teach the little kids like preschool or kindergarten.
Oh, okay. So well, first of all, I mean, congratulations there because we really need people to be able to connect with our young kids and help them at this stage in their life. So that's a great that's a great field to get into. And now think about what are the reasons why you want to do that.
Probably, yeah, probably. I want to read them stories like Brown Bear, What Do You See?" "Chicka Chicka Boom Boom," and "The Very Hungry Caterpillar."
hmm So when you think about those things that you enjoy doing and that you want to do with those kids, that's what you want to keep that's what you want to keep in mind when things get difficult. Because as you know, I mean, you've been in school for a while now. It's not always easy. There's challenges along the way that that come up, and that's just part of it. Nobody gets a break from having challenges. So when we can keep our eye on what it is that we want and what it is that we're trying to do, the things that light us up and the things that we enjoy, then I believe that's what helps us through those challenging times. And that's that's one reason why I like doing the mentoring. And when I get into where, things are a little bit challenging, I just say, hold on a second here. What am I worrying about here? Am I worrying about the challenge, or am I maybe I need to shift my focus away from that challenge and back onto what is the purpose for me for doing this job? What is the purpose for me? And for you it's those kids, working with those kids. And when you realize that you're going to get to work with those kids, then that helps you get through those tough times when, things are a little bit difficult in your studies or in whatever part of life that you're going through that gives you a challenge.
Okay, we are finished with the serious questions. Before we finish, I want to ask you some fun rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
All right, fire away. Let's go.
What is your favorite pastime outside of work?
I would say I enjoy road trips. I love
Yeah.
getting in my van and traveling on the road and going to national parks, going to different places, and it's very for me. Doing that is actually quite relaxing. I really enjoy that. So getting on the road.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I would, you know, I would like to go to Italy. I think that would be a fun place to go. They've got the history there is incredible, and their architecture is so interesting there. So I think, and I also think their food is amazing. So yeah, I think I'd like to go to Italy.
If you could have dinner with any hysterical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh my, let's see, what historical figure would I like to have dinner with? I think it would be my childhood hero. I was born and raised up in Wisconsin, where the Green Bay Packers are the team of choice. And my hero as a child was their quarterback from the 1960s named Bart Starr. And he was such a classy, uh, really superhuman person to me, and I would love to have dinner with him.
What's a surprising or little known fact about yourself that most people might not know?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Most people would not know that I I played on a national championship wheelchair rugby team in oh my gosh, what year was that? 1988. So, yeah, the wheelchair rugby team that I played on in the very, very early years of organized wheelchair rugby, we won the national championship. So I don't think many people would know that.
What's a book, movie, or TV show that has had a side in fact
Significant.
significant impact on you or that you apply enjoy?
I would say, let's see. The movie, I think I think I like the movie Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon. That was a really cool movie. He played a great part there, and you said a book too. I think there's a book by the I can't remember the author right now. It's called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And of course, after we're done with this call, I'll remember it. But it's an excellent book about a hero's journey, and it's very inspiring, and it's really a great book about connecting to what you're meant to do, and connecting to your purpose. So that's a book that I really like.
All right. Thank you so much for talking the time to talk to me. Do you have anything else you would like to say before we sign off?
Well, again, I would like to just say thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I'm honored to be here. I'm so glad. I think what you guys are doing here is just super exciting, and I'm looking forward to what this program will bring for you guys. And hey, I'm looking forward to you being an amazing kindergarten teacher, Anthony.
Yep. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.